Hello everybody, Heath the Vlogger guy here. It is December 6th, which means it's time for our 6th installment of the Christmas stories. Now, do hope you're enjoying these. Also, if it's your first time visiting my channel, why don't you hit that subscribe button. Also, ring that little bell, and that'll notify you anytime I put out any kind of new content. And if you're enjoying this kind of stuff, give me a thumbs up. Also, feel free to share, because that'll get it out to more people who might want to hear Christmas stories for the holiday season. So, tonight's book is a good one. We are going to read The Polar Express. Now, I don't know a kid who does not like this cartoon. So, let's get into it. Now, bear in mind, I am not the best reader there is, but I try. So, kind of bear with me when I'm reading these books, because I do sometimes stumble over words. So, go ahead and get started here. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound. A sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did not hear sound, though not the ringing. I did hear sounds, though not the ringing of bells. From outside came the sound of hissing steam and the squeaking of metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood in the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest. Then he looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tippy-toed down the stairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried. I ran up to him. "Well, are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. Oh, I can't tell if there's an extra page here. I'm going to guess no. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies and nougat-scented and white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of town and villages flickered in the distance of the Polar Express racing northward. Soon there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through the cold, dark forest, where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from the train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed a mountain so high it seemed as if we scraped the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like cars on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, and the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed the barren desert of ice, the great polar ice caps. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There, said the conductor, is the North Pole. The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first we saw no elves. They are gathered at the center of the city, the conductor told us. That's where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who will receive the first gift of Christmas, we all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. Look, shouted one of the children. The elves. Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no further, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing their silver sled bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound like nothing I've ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed to me. He said, let's have this fellow here. He jumped onto his sleigh. Then the conductor helped me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked me, now, what would you like for Christmas? I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine. But the thing I wanted most from Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one of the silver bells from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled, then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. Then the elf tossed it up to Santa and he stood holding the bell high above and called out, the first gift of Christmas. A clock struck midnight, and the elves roared their applause. Santa handed the bell to me and put it in my robe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh, and Santa shouted out to the reindeers, named and cracked his whip. The team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, and then disappeared into the cold, dark polar sky. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said. but the train gave a sudden lurch and started to move. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted, and the Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one more last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was a silver bell. There was a note. "I found this on my seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell, and it made the most beautiful sound that my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," my father said, "it's broken." When I'd shake the bell, my parents had not heard the sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear the sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me as it does for all those who truly believe. And I noticed something at the back of the book. There is an ornament in the back of my book, right over here, that says the Polar Express. All aboard. Now I hope you enjoyed that story. I know I always enjoyed the cartoon. So until we see each other again, bye-bye.